hate
Real Madrid.
Huh? Sorry,
Mbappe.
but I have to do this.
On February 15th, David Ornstein broke some historic news to the footballing world, revealing that Kylian Mbappe would leave PSG as a free agent in the summer. The Italian super journalist Fabrizio Romano followed that up, confirming that it was indeed over between Mbappe and the Ligue 1 champions, and adding that Real Madrid were confident to get the deal done. Sure enough, Spanish outlet Marca reported that Mbappe was already close to finalizing an agreement until 2029 with Real Madrid. This, of course, comes as no surprise to anyone who's paid attention to the major headlines in club football for the last few years. It feels like every summer since Mbappe moved to PSG has involved a long, drawn-out will-they-won't-they transfer saga with him and Los Blancos. And the two are a pretty predictable match. It won't be the first time Madrid, typically recognized as the biggest club in the world, signed the best player in the world. But nothing's official yet, at least at the time of recording. And I don't know if you've heard, but Arsenal are in need of a marquee summer forward signing. So I thought it would at least be a fun exercise to put together the argument for why Mbappe should once again leave Real Madrid at the altar and choose the Gunners as next step in his career. Now, I can already tell what some of you are thinking. Why waste your breath? He's off to Madrid. We can't afford him. He would never pick us anyway. And in response to those thoughts, two things. One, I think it would be at least fun to talk about this kind of thing, at least in my opinion. And number two, multiple outlets have reported that Arsenal are indeed among Mbappe's preferred destinations in the Premier League. Hell, if Real Madrid didn't exist, Arsenal might be a frontrunner for Mbappe's signature. But they do exist. So why should Mbappe go anywhere else, let alone Arsenal? Well, for starters, joining Arsenal would mean the Frenchman would feature in the Premier League, the most competitive and difficult league in the world, packed with talent and many of the best coaches in the game. It would be a real opportunity for him to show just how good he is, especially because a certain Erling Haaland currently resides at the top of the food chain in England. Now, I think Mbappe is a much more complete player than Erling Haaland is. However, Haaland is one of the most prolific scorers of our time, and it feels like since the beginning of time itself, football media has searched for a pair of generational players to pit against each other as the two best in the world. Currently, that's Mbappe and Haaland. Sure, at Real Madrid, Mbappe would likely face off with Haaland and City at some point in the Champions League. But if he really wants to show he's better than the Norwegian, he's got two guaranteed opportunities to do it every season, with the possibility of more as well. But in addition to that, the challenge is cranked up just a bit higher at Arsenal than it is at Real Madrid. Should he join Los Blancos, he'd have a pretty straightforward path to the title every year. Beat a financially struggling Barcelona, and be sure to snuff out Atletico whenever they're involved in the title race. At Arsenal, he'll have to beat out City and Liverpool if the post-Klopp transition happens smoothly, with the specters of a United under new management, state-owned Newcastle, and a free-spending Chelsea all on the horizon. I know all three of those teams are struggling right now, but football changes quickly, especially given the amount of money that all three of them could be throwing around in the near future. Even if Mbappe is confident he has established himself as the current best player in the world and doesn't care what anyone else thinks, he still has a further benchmark he should be aiming for, to become the best footballer of all time. A good way to do that is to continue improving as a player, and there are a few managers who can facilitate that the way that Mikel Arteta can. Not only is the current Arsenal manager a tactical genius who has helped the club return to relevance, but he's also a coach who pays attention to the finest details of how a footballer plays. Between his time assisting Pep Guardiola at City and as manager at Arsenal, Arteta's track record of improving wide forwards is immensely impressive. Leroy Sané and Raheem Sterling have both attributed their improvement as players to their time working with Arteta. Under the Spaniard, Bukayo Saka and Gabriel Martinelli have become two of the best wingers in the Premier League, with the former now establishing himself as a world-class player. More on that if you click the link above me, right here. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying here. I don't think Kylian Mbappe is overrated. I don't think that there are issues in his game so glaring that he's not the best player in the world. I think he absolutely is. But at this level of the game, I think the difference between being the best footballer of an era and the best of all time rests on the finest of margins. Still not enough for you? Okay, well, let me really tug at the heartstrings then. According to some reports, Mbappe would be willing to join Arsenal to follow in the footsteps of one of his heroes, namely Thierry Henry. That's right, Mbappe is supposedly a big fan of Arsenal's greatest legend. And why wouldn't he be? Henry was the complete center forward, a lethal finisher with aggression, elite athleticism, and boldness, and also a consistent creator as well, with intelligence, tremendous technique, and cleverness. If Mbappe wants to become the best player of all time, emulating Henry isn't a bad place to start. And the two have a good relationship filled with mutual respect. Last summer, reports emerged that Julian Nagelsmann was considering the manager position at PSG and wanted to bring Henry as his assistant manager in an attempt to appease Mbappe. Additionally, Mbappe recently stated publicly that he would like to play for France at the Olympics, and that team will be coached by Henry. Now, Mbappe has the chance to go to the club that made Henry a superstar and achieve even greater status in the game. Imagine pulling on the shirt with the crest your hero will forever be associated with, emblazoned over your heart, playing in a similar position to where he played, leading that team to glory on the biggest of stages. If Mbappe goes to Arsenal, he would be living the dream that all of us had when we pretended to be our favorite footballers in our backyard or at the park. He would achieve the purest essence of the game, and he would have the man himself as his personal Sherpa to guide him up the Mount Everest of his career. That is the argument for Mbappe to become an Arsenal player. Is it a convincing one? To the majority of football players, probably not. Real Madrid don't have a wage structure they're worried about breaking. They have a clearer path to silverware and, let's face it, a more successful history of winning the biggest honors. They are a club unmatched in their stature and all the off-field opportunities that comes with. Most players would choose that over what I've pitched every day of the week and twice on Sundays. But if Mbappe has a true love for the game and isn't just in it for the money or the trophies, he should tread in the same path as his idols, which definitely does not include anyone other than Thierry Henry. Well, fuck.